Welcome, everyone, to Nintendo Kids, the show about Nintendo, past, present, future, and anything in between.
Beyond the interdimensions.
Because we don't know. There could be. For your first-time listener, thanks for listening in. We are your hosts, Carl and Christian. I'm Christian.
And I am Carl.
And if you've been here before, welcome back.
Yeah. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, yes it is. We were planning to do an episode sooner, but we ended up kind of inadvertently taking the summer off.
Has it been that long since our last one?
Yeah, I think it was like a week before E3, and I'm like, well, we're probably not going to fit an episode in before E3, but we'll get one in shortly after, and it's been like 4 months.
Yeah, wow, summer's gone. It's like September now.
Yeah, it was a busy summer, I guess.
Yeah, get busy in the summer, do stuff.
True.
Vacation, work outside.
Yeah.
All the stuff you can't do when you're cooped up for the winter.
Yeah, which is probably when we hit the heavier episodes every couple weeks or something.
Yeah.
So, but we are cramming a lot into this one, so we won't bore you. We got lots of fun stuff. Before I begin, you recently celebrated a birthday.
I did celebrate a birthday.
Yeah, your 50th. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It's starting to feel like it.
No.
Ooh.
Here you go. You got a bag.
Wow, there's a head in it. Let's see what this is. This is a live recording of my present. And it's an amiibo.
Yeah.
It's Mario.
Everyone should have an amiibo. So
You're right.
Every Nintendo kid needs an amiibo. So.
All right, for those who can't see, I now own the Mario amiibo with the fireball going into his hand.
I think he's like conjuring it.
Oh,
sort
okay.
Of. Yeah.
Okay. It's like I'm catching the fireball.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, man.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
There's one more thing in there, actually. There
wow,
is.
Multiple.
There is.
I thought that was the bottom. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, Fantasy Life. Hey, you were telling me about this.
Yeah. I was considering getting you Majora's Mask, but you got that for my birthday, and I thought that was weird, so I didn't get it. And I was like, well, what can I get him? And since you like World of Warcraft, you'll like that game.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, it's a single-player game. You can play multiplayer.
I'm trying to look at it. Like the microphone's in front of my face, and I can't get a good light.
It's a single-player primarily, but it's kind of the same thing. You kind of major in a particular class, and then you could do other things too. You get quests along the way. People get the little things above their head. You talk to them, and it's like, hey, why don't you kill some wombats or whatever? And but there's a lot to it. I actually haven't finished it yet, but there's a lot. There's several different sections of the game. There's some add-on content which I don't even have yet.
Oh, really?
But it's cool. It's cool. And you could change your life, which is kind of what they consider your like career or your class. You could change it on the fly.
Oh, cool.
So, and it's not even like attack stuff. You could be like, I'm going to be a chef.
That's all you do?
Yeah, I assume that's what you do. I don't know.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to playing this.
Yeah, that was something a little different you might like.
I know what I'll be talking about during my next What Are You Playing?
Right. We are going to talk about what we're playing, but I think first we're going to talk about some news.
And by news, we mean stuff that's happened since the last podcast.
Right. So there's been some things, some big things that happened with Nintendo. So we're not going to go into too much detail on them, but we do want to kind of share some thoughts. The first is that the Nintendo president and CEO, Satoru Iwata, has died. You probably already know this if you follow Nintendo at all. Yeah. So we're not going to go into the details on it, but I took it as a bit of a shock. I know he was not well, like last year. He had the bile duct tumor removed, and he had lost weight, but it seemed like he was all right. And then he didn't show up at E3, and I'm like, well, if they didn't have a whole lot to show off, we'll talk about that too. And then he died.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it was sudden. I wasn't fully up to speed on his complications he had, so it seemed a little more sudden to me, where it's like, what? And it's one of those things you can't. It almost seems like it's happening on TV.
Yeah.
It's one of those, like, you don't want to believe it happened because it's like, oh, now granted, I didn't know the guy personally, and
Right.
but it just you're just used to seeing that name. It's like when I think of Nintendo, there's usually like three things. I think three people. I'll think of. I want Miyamoto and Reggie because he seems to be the
Reggie's
American
great.
face of it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I don't know. It's never. It's always it sucks when somebody dies,
Yeah.
and just I mean, he seemed kind of young
Yeah,
to
he was.
and he I mean he don't look like an old guy. So whenever anybody who doesn't look old dies, it's always like, oh, but they had so much more to do. I think, and
Yeah.
it just it's a shame. It really is too bad.
Yeah, it is. I had picked up some quotes actually, like right after it happened, that he had said that I think kind of explains to people who he was and how he approached his job. In the Wii and the DS era, he had said, video games are meant for just one thing: fun for everyone. And it's one of those things that Nintendo still does, and I don't want to say that the others don't, but you look at these games that come out, and I'm kind of like, yeah, they look gritty and real, and I've played a bunch of them, and they are fun to a point. But for me, they always kind of fall to the wayside. But I always go back to a Mario game, or I always go back to a Zelda game. There's just fun baked into them. Like, they were built from the ground up to be fun. They weren't built from the ground up to be like, we want to tell this epic story, and
Yeah.
so
Or this is what's making money right now.
that too, and that's actually, yeah, it's kind of a problem. I've never once been embarrassed that children have supported Nintendo. I'm proud of it. That's because children judge products based on instinct, which I also thought was,
Yeah, that's a really good quote.
it's not filtered in any way. It's not taken from the context of like, well, the reviews are bad. Like,
Yeah.
kids just play them and like them. And I think back to like games on the NES or even maybe some on the Super Nintendo that I played and I was like, great. Now that I'm older, I'm like, that was not a good game, but it was fun and
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Kids, they don't really have at that age biases or prejudices built
No.
into them. Yeah.
No.
You learn. Unfortunately, you're taught that as you go along.
Right,
You learn
right.
it. And you see other people do it. But when you're young, it's innocent, and whatever they feel is pretty pure. There's very pure.
Yeah.
That's not true for every kid, but for, I'd say, generally children.
Yeah, I think generally, yeah, I would say that's true. This was, I think, a good one that a lot of people maybe didn't pick up on, but it kind of shows how he was as a business leader. This was at a time when Nintendo wasn't doing so great financially, and they were like, well, maybe you should do layoffs and things. He said, if we reduce the number of employees for better short-term financial results, employee morale will decrease. I sincerely doubt employees who fear that they may be laid off will be able to develop software titles that could impress people around the world. So he didn't lay anybody off.
Awesome.
He's known for actually taking a pay cut himself
Yeah.
because the company, had a bad quarter or something. So I thought that was a cool way to view that, and true. I mean,
I
you
agree,
could.
yeah.
So many companies would be like, well, let's just cut, 200 jobs, and it works. But all that does is kind of like stems the bleeding. You still have to actually like fix the problem.
Yeah. And the video game industry might be a slightly different animal because your job is to make fun things,
Right.
in a fun
Yeah,
mindset. And if you're always in fear, if you're going to get laid off or fired for some reason, because they have to make cutbacks. Well, if you're not having fun, how are you supposed to have a fun mindset?
Exactly.
It's a little different than like, if you're working an office job for some company that makes a product like I don't know, like Norelco or something, where your job is to make like a shaving product or something. So, yeah, that was very smart of him.
Yeah. And the last one I have, which I'm sure most people who follow the news when he died had picked up on this quote, but on my business card, I am a corporate president. In my mind, I am a game developer, but in my heart, I am a gamer. And I thought that sums him up right there.
Yeah.
He runs a gaming company. He didn't come from a business background. He actually came from a programming background, and he was like John Carmack kind of kind of guy. Like he was just a brilliant programmer. But in his heart, he loved games. So that kind of you kind of want somebody like that running your company.
Miyamoto really didn't come from a business background either.
No,
he was like a designer, basically, a toy designer at first. And that's funny. The two most powerful people in that company, weren't like business guys.
No, yeah,
they just knew what they were doing. So smartly, you put the people who know what they're doing in charge, and look what happened.
Look what happened. Yeah.
Still probably one of the strongest companies there is out there.
Yeah. I don't know if you had any further thoughts.
No, not really. It just sucks, and it's a shame. And it's not gonna be the same not seeing his name during the credits anymore for any future games.
During the credits and those Nintendo Directs.
Yeah.
Those things are funny.
Yeah.
So I hope that they still can do them. I mean, that spirit is still in them, I think. It's just they may go in a different direction. I don't know. But shortly before that, they did have at E3. We're not really going to talk about the whole thing. We're just going to focus on maybe some things that we found most interesting or looking forward to. But in general, it was kind of met with disappointment from the gaming industry, and I can understand why. They wanted to focus on the stuff that's coming out this year, and there's a lot of good stuff, but everybody was like, well, how about a Metroid game? And we kind of got one, but not what people wanted. And they said they weren't going to show off Zelda, but people are like, they gotta show Zelda, and they didn't show off Zelda.
Yeah. So. I don't know, sometimes I think and this might sound somewhat snobby of me, but like the internet culture, maybe the gamer cultures, I don't know what culture exactly this is, might be a mix of the two, with the internet gamer culture, seem maybe entitled, it might be a good term, that they almost seem like they're entitled to know things and be delivered. Hey, you owe us a good E3. And when Nintendo really is under no obligation to show us anything, really, if you think about it, and E3, it's like they'll show us what they want to show us. They'll show us what they think we should see, and we should be thankful that we got to see even that. They don't have to show us stuff before it comes out if they don't want to. It's basically just a marketing thing. Yeah, really all it is. So like I didn't really buy into or get to or agree with a lot of the negativity of this E3. It's like people want to be blown away with like, show us like a 10-minute demo of the next Zelda game or something like that, and it's like they didn't show it to us. Get over it,
right? Yeah. I remember when I watched it. That I did watch it live.
I only got to watch a couple chunks here and there because it was happening while I was at work.
Yeah, me too. But it kind of fell during my lunch break, so I was able to watch it, and then they had some demos after. But I was watching it, and when I got to the end of it, I was like, it was pretty good. I'm looking forward to some stuff, and I'm like, I know Twitter is going to be spewing venom. So I opened up my app on the phone, and sure enough, Twitter is spewing venom. So it wasn't unexpected, but I don't know. There were several games that I liked, but really there's only two that I'm gonna talk about, kind of mention. The one is Super Mario Maker.
Yes,
which looks awesome. I already pre-ordered it on my Wii U. The icon is sitting there staring at me, and it makes me mad every time I look at it. And I'm like, why don't I just hide this in a different panel on the thing?
Just move it over all the way to the right.
Move it to the right and just not look at it. But I'm looking forward to that. We'll definitely talk about it in depth. But it looks so cool.
Yeah, early. That was one of the sections I was able to watch. Them playing around with that, and I was like, oh man, like this is like, can you imagine if they had that when we were like 12 and 13?
Oh, we'd be in heaven, because this is what we did all the time, but we did it on paper.
Yeah.
And,
always coming up with like, I'm gonna make a game like this, and it's gonna have these things, and now you can pretty much do it.
Yeah.
And they're really clever with the things they could do. I mean, granted, I didn't play that there was a Mario Maker for 3DS, wasn't there?
No.
Oh, there wasn't?
No,
this is the one they talk.
This is the one, yeah.
This goes to show like this sometimes so crazy. I think, oh, it's good they're bringing it to Wii U. That one on 3DS must have been. And now I think about it, no, you're right. So, yeah, this one, just the things you could do with it, such as putting wings on anything you want, just making anything you want fire out of a bullet bill cannon, making anything grow just by adding a mushroom to it,
Yeah.
making them able to jump out of question blocks. Like everything looked. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. Yeah, I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. I'm pretty sure in the beginning most of the levels that you download or stream, I'm not really sure how that works, are gonna be diabolical. People are just gonna.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's videos online of people who used like emulators and hacks and like Mario level makers, and there's some that are just ridiculously brutal that you need like tool assisted to get through them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're gonna see more of that, but I'm hoping that after it's out a little bit, people get familiar with like, oh, this is how you properly make a level, and it becomes, people make more not really difficult levels, but just cool levels, where when you look at them, you're like, oh man, like you got to see this jump, or you have to see like the way they plan this out, and just almost like a whimsical type levels, things like that.
I agree. I don't want to see too. I don't really get too much into like those impossible levels that
Me neither.
require split second timing and you have to jump on a turtle's back at exactly this moment to avoid this. I want to see something that's like just out and out clever. Like, oh man, somebody thought of that. That's such a neat way of thinking outside the box of level design. Like an example, you were saying the Adventure of Link Palaces.
Yeah, I don't know if that's built into the game, if that Nintendo made it, or if it was something that like somebody made after the fact. But I haven't seen it myself. But I've read and heard in a couple different podcasts and stuff that they have seen a Zelda 2 palace in this game, and I'm like, that's brilliant.
Yes, it's almost like. It's kind of like NES Remix. You're crossing over platforms. You're moving Mario into the Legend of Zelda universe.
And if you have a Link amiibo, you tap them, you could play as Link, or your sprite basically changes to Link. So you could make it even. I think it's the like original Legend of Zelda one, so it's not gonna quite be perfect, but kind of cool. So you can kind of add a little more if you're playing the level.
Use the sword?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. I think it's really just like a sprite swap.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that game is coming out next Friday. Well, as we're recording it, so like a little over a week away.
Oh wow,
should be neat. So I'll have you over, and we'll have to play it and dig into it, and then definitely talk about it on the next show because it's gonna be really fun.
Yeah, I could see myself like losing like getting lost in hours of doing that.
Oh
because, I mean, I used to spend days and weeks building levels in like stuff like Duke Nukem 3D's build engine. I'd build so many levels in that, and back when I had the Commodore 64, the Adventure Construction set,
Right.
days upon days just building worlds and stuff in that. Any type of game that had some sort of level builder or something, or some type of creative process, I'd spend so much time doing those and finding something that can make the game different, or something I want to see in a game that wasn't there. Even Super Smash Brothers Brawl was the one for Wii.
I think.
Yeah.
The
levels in there, like all the preset levels, really, really cool and everything like that. But I'm like, what if you made a level where it was really hard to get knocked off the side? And I don't know if you remember that one level I made where I was like, had the walls that went up on the side just as high as you can. And I called it the jar. And you just fought on the inside there. So every time you got hit, you would go flying, but most of the time you'd smack against the wall. So you could, sometimes when people were getting their damage percentages up in the 300 or 400 percentiles, and like you'd hit them and they'd still go flying, but it really took a lot to like knock them out of the jar.
Right. Oh, that's cool.
Any type of creative stuff in games, which were usually a secondary feature in games, I'd spend so much time. And so here's a game that's its main purpose is creativity and creating something. So I'm so looking forward to playing that.
In a bizarre way, it's like the sequel to Mario Paint.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Because he used to make levels in that too. Except you couldn't
play them. But yeah. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, the only other game I was, but definitely we'll talk a lot more about that. I think probably next time because we'll actually have it in our hands. We can play it.
Yeah.
It was several games that I was actually interested in, like Yoshi's Woolly World was shown last year. I'm interested in it, and it was shown again. But Star Fox Zero was the one that kind of had my attention as well.
I didn't get a chance to watch them do anything with that live, so I watched the trailer after the fact.
I'm not saying I'm like totally like drooling for this game. Now I've never been a big Star Fox fan. Not since I don't like them, but I don't know. They never were games I really went back to too often over the years. But this game looks fun. It doesn't look like graphically like a mind blowing game, but I'm okay with that. But kind of interesting how they're using the gamepad, where you're flying with it, but if you want to kind of like get a cockpit view, you look down at the gamepad controller, and that kind of gives you more precise aim. So I'm a little unsure of how that works, like in actual gameplay, where it's like, okay, am I going to be confused? Looking down and looking up and looking down and looking up. But
Didn't in the trailer or something they show people actually holding it in front of their face, like blocking the TV with it, so it's like that would be
Yeah.
your cockpit view. So
yeah,
Which-
maybe.
I don't see why you would have to do that. You could probably
Me
just
neither.
glance down if you wanted.
Yeah, but it looks pretty cool. It sounds like it's a spiritual successor, almost a remake of Star Fox 64, which I think
Yeah,
would appeal.
Yeah,
to,
I would agree. Yeah, and I love Star Fox 64. Like, I'm not a big Star Fox series fan. I like the first game, but I really liked Star Fox 64, and which is strange. I typically don't like flying games
Yeah.
or rail shooter type games too much, but there was something about that game that was just, I don't know, it just did it for me. Maybe it just might have been the timing when it came out and when the N64 and 3D models were new and everything. I don't know. But
Yeah.
there's just something about that game where it's like, I like it and I love playing it. So that's why I'm kind of excited about this one too. It's like, oh, this one looks, I heard
Yeah.
it's the spiritual successor to Star Fox 64, which is interesting because that's a remake of the
of
first,
the first one. Yeah, I thought that too. It was odd.
Go to the story that works. The first one.
The first one, yeah. Yes, I don't have a lot of thoughts on it. Just I'm looking forward to it. We'll see how it is when it actually comes out, and talk about more then. But
Yeah.
graphically, it looked actually. I don't mean to put it down, but it almost looked like a GameCube kind of
Yeah.
game. I was like, well, it looks decent, but it doesn't look, this mind blowing game. But they probably weren't going for that. They were probably just going to, almost more of like a justification of like the gamepad as opposed to doing HD.
And I don't know if it's, I only watched that trailer the one time, but I know that the vehicles, like typically in Star Fox, just seem to have that origami
Yeah,
look to them, and that just seems to be the nature of that environment. So when everything already doesn't have a lot of polygons, you can't beef up the polygon level if the thing isn't supposed to have a lot.
right. Oh, true. Yeah, it's kind of the nature of the
Yeah.
graphical style, I guess.
Yeah, because like even when they had the ability in the N64 to up the polygon level on the R-Wings, it really didn't. They're
No.
really all vectored and
Yeah.
triangular and pyramid shaped. So yeah, but that should be a good one too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So.
Did you catch any of them playing the Zelda game?
Oh, Triforce Heroes, was it?
Yeah.
called? A little bit. It was one of those things when I saw the during the presentation, I was like, well, that's different. It reminded me a little bit of like Four Swords Adventures
yeah,
or Four
I was thinking
Swords.
the same thing.
Different in its own way, but similar. Because I'm like, okay, it's multiplayer and it's like Four Swords. But afterwards, I kept hearing about how good it was, and it was like a lot of fun. And the totem system that they have, where you pick each other up and you go different heights, which levels or boss fights are actually built around it. And I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I'm.
I don't know if like they like, it's tough to say because I don't have that many modern games, but that totem system, you were kind of doing that type of stuff in like New Super Mario Brothers Wii, like that 4-player thing where you could pick people up and then you pick people up. So maybe they just like, hey, that was fun with the New Super Mario Brothers game. It's like, maybe we could incorporate this with like a 3D instead of 2D world, and see what we could do with it. But yeah, I mean, it looked pretty cool. I don't think I would get it, mostly because you're the only person that has a 3DS.
I know. Yeah, it's the same with you. I'm like, well, there's only two of us. We need three.
Yeah, it would be different if like we were still in high school and there was a bunch of people that had them. We could play it on lunch or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
alas, that is not the case. So
No, sadly not. I've tried to get people at work into them, and nobody will buy one. I did get someone to buy a Wii U though. So.
yeah, talk them into the more expensive system.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's really all I had to say about I think E3. Those were pretty much the 3 games that I had anything to say about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have some more modern-ish news. Some other things that happened throughout the summer. Oh, actually, I'm gonna drop this in here right now because I just found out about it. The first Nintendo mobile game has been released.
Oh wow!
Yeah, Pokemon Shuffle. The Pokemon company released Shuffle, I guess today. I downloaded it to my phone and I haven't played it yet. But it's basically, I don't know if you're familiar with it. It was on the 3DS. Or it is on the 3DS. It's free. It's one of those like match 3 like puzzle kind of games.
Okay.
When you match them, I guess it does an attack or something against the Pokemon you're facing. So it looks kind of cool. There are in-app purchases. I'm not really a fan of those.
So it's a freemium one of those.
Right. It's basically a freemium game. I'm not a big fan of those. We'll see if they don't spam it too hard. Like if you can enjoy the game without having to spend the money,
Yeah.
I would occasionally maybe drop some coins on it. But I'm nervous about that. I've been burned too many times of trying to play a game, and it's like, well, if, you can play tomorrow, or you can get some extra whatever right now by spending 99 cents, and it's like, well, okay. And after a while, you're like, well, hold on.
Yeah.
I get it was free, but if I do this long enough, I'm going to be spending way more than the $10 or $20 I would normally spend on a good app. So yeah, that game is out. Haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it's out there. So
I never got into the Pokemon games or anything Pokemon related. So
I never did, but I wanted to.
I never had a desire to either. I think that was more of a rebellious thing as opposed to actually not caring about them. This one was like, man, these kids, all they care about is Pokemon. I think I won't like Pokemon.
Did I ever talk about that I was like a Pokemon
a judge or something like that? Or referee?
Yeah, I forget what they call them. I may still have the shirt, but I was one. I worked at Toys R Us. Yeah, I never got a hold on how the trading card game works, other than what I needed to know.
Mm-hmm.
I understood why people liked it because it was like Magic the Gathering, sort of. But the game, like the actual Game Boy game, dating myself.
Yeah.
The Game Boy game at the time, kids used to bring it in, and we had a cartridge that if you hooked up a link cable to somebody who brought in a Game Boy, you could trade. It was some kind of exclusive Pokemon. So kids would come in, you trade them one of theirs for this thing. And I remember like having to play to a certain point to get to a point where I can attach, with them. And I was like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. It was reminded me of like a Dragon Warrior kind of RPG sort of thing. And I was interested, but I never bought one. And then they came out on the Game Boy Advance, and I'm like, I never got them. They came out on the DS, and I never got them. And now they're on 3DS. I almost bought Pokemon X like a year ago, and I never did. So I keep putting it off. Maybe someday. I don't know. But that is out there. So if you're interested, pick it up.
Cool.
See what you think.
My neighbor had a pick today to cut his grass. It's like I'm hearing that in the background. I'm sure the microphones are picking it up. And it's,
excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Can you not
stop cutting your grass? I'm trying to record. It's the first time all summer.
Yeah.
You had all week to cut your grass. Didn't rain once. But I digress.
Yeah.
Now that I got that off my chest.
Yeah. But you had told me about the Nintendo PlayStation.
Yes. Yeah. Back in, I think, the beginning of the summer, somebody found a Nintendo PlayStation. That is not an error in what I'm saying.
Right.
It's before Sony made the PlayStation, they were making the CD-ROM system for Nintendo. Nintendo hired them to do that, and then they're like, no, sorry.
Right.
And then Sony's like, screw you guys, we'll make our own. And then Nintendo's like, go ahead. What is going to happen? Make your own system. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Little did they realize what a mistake that would be down the road. But yeah, somebody unearthed one. I guess they found it in a storage closet or something, in the back of one of the corporate buildings or something in storage. So yeah, I found it says PlayStation, and it says Nintendo on it, and it's just really cool that like it's a prototype, and I don't even know if it works. I think they said they were trying to get it to work.
Yeah, like I don't know if they had the right AC adapter for it or something. Because I remember reading this long thread on Reddit or something where the guy had posted it, and people were like, "Do not plug anything into it. Make sure you get somebody to who knows about electronics to look at it." And it was this whole people were going nuts about it.
Yeah, and it's amazing because it's like it should be in a museum because that's like gaming history. That's a rare, like ultra rare artifact right there. Hopefully, like he donates it to some sort of
That would be
gaming
cool.
museum, or something like that, and not just keep it in privacy of his home because it's history. It's it's gaming history, and it's amazing. And it's just the fact that one survived all this time. It's pretty cool. So that's really the first PlayStation.
Right. Yeah. I like
Ever.
that it was actually a rebranded Super Nintendo controller as well. Like
Yes.
it was the Super Nintendo controller. And
Yeah, it was.
same port and everything. I was like, oh man, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Pretty neat. Pretty neat.
They did interview, somebody interviewed Shuhei Yoshida, who runs the Sony Computer Entertainment Group, about that, and he didn't like confirm or deny that it was real. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, I don't really remember exactly what it looked like, but he acknowledged, he was like those things existed, so pretty safe to say that was probably the real deal.
Yeah.
But, yeah, what a cool piece of history
That
dug
is.
up. I mean, I think a lot of us knew that did exist, but outside of the lab, did it ever actually get put into like a case?
Yeah.
Was it ever?
I would have figured any ones they made like prototype boxes were just destroyed. Like
Yeah.
it's just the day like they severed ties with the two companies severed ties with each other. It's like, well, we don't need these anymore. So that or any case that has had Nintendo on it. Like,
Yeah.
trash that thing. Keep the
Keep
circuits.
the
and
guts.
everything.
Yeah. Could have been.
So it's the fact that it survived and just hidden away makes you
Yeah.
wonder, like, what else is hidden away?
Yeah. What else is out there? Yeah. They finally unearthed those.
ET cartridges.
ET cartridges, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a couple months ago. Shortly after, I don't know if you follow the Angry Video Game Nerd. He's
No.
great, but he made his movie. He spent the last like couple years making an actual full length movie. Like I think he lives outside of Philadelphia or just somewhere there. But he traveled out to like Los Angeles and like stayed out there for like a year.
Wow.
Making this movie.
Really?
Yeah, and did like most of the editing himself and special effects, like all this stuff, models and everything. Like did all that crap in his house. And the premise of the movie, which I have yet to buy, I haven't seen it. I want to buy it off of them. Just it's on my wish list, on my Amazon wish list. It's there. But the premise of the movie was finding the ET cartridges buried in the New Mexico landfill because it's supposed to be the worst game ever and the game that caused the video game crash in 1983. So since his shtick is, reviewing terrible games, that's what it was. And then like he released the movie, and then like within like a week or two, they found all those cartridges.
I think of all companies, Microsoft actually had something to do with that. I think they
Really?
Yeah, like I don't think it was actually them that went out, but there was a group that was going to go out and actually unearth it, and they put money down to help fund it. So.
There's a part of me wish they didn't do that because I kind of liked the urban legend of like, in a Mexican landfill somewhere, there's all these cartridges, but nobody knows
where.
Nobody knows. They're hidden.
There's
But they're there.
There's gold out there in those hills.
In that dump, there's some gold.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're there. So, and now, like from what I understand, they're selling them for like $100,000 or something.
Really?
Like on
Wow.
eBay, these trash cartridges that were sitting in the landfill, they're selling for like $100,000. It's like, who's gonna buy that for $100,000?
For $100,000.
How do you even know it's real? Like, people have like copies of ET. There's more copies of ET that, well, that's why they're in the landfill because that's than systems. I had 2 of them.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom threw them out.
Yeah.
And all my Atari cartridges except one, Berserk. I saved that one.
Nice.
Because it was up in my drawer instead of with the rest of the games. But yeah, that was pretty neat that they did find them. So it was true.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
You wanted to talk about another piece of news from over the summer, which I guess isn't really Nintendo news, but
Just the PC game.
yeah.
Yeah. Diving out of Nintendo just for a second. A lot of people might remember over, what was it, the winter time, I want to say, what the trailer or the playable teaser, if you
Right.
will, PT, the Silent Hill viral marketing video game. Basically a first-person game where you walk through the same hallway several times and have to complete different little subtle things or else get killed by a ghost. And it's very, very creepy to the point where, like, I remember I'd be watching it on my computer and I'd actually be like, now I have bad eyes, so I'm usually within 2 feet of the screen when I'm looking at something. I was probably 7 or 8 feet back with like my knees like tucked up like by my chest, like, and like one hand over my mouth just because I'm like, something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. And watching it, there's so many times like, Jesus, you know, like these lots of, which is a slight complaint I had. A lot of the scares were kind of stingers,
Yeah.
you know, or you know, loud noises or something that just jumps out at you that makes you jump. But and it was famous because, you know, it had Del Toro and
Hideo Kojima.
yes, they were working together, and then it had the dude from Walking Dead as his likeness and everything, and then the whole thing just kind of fell apart, and everybody just like, well, we're done, and then Konami's like, well, we're doing mobile, and
Yeah.
and everything just went bottom up until right around the beginning of July, this demo video came out for this game called Allison Road, and it saw like news like, oh, spiritual successor to PT, and I'm like, huh. So I watched it, and at first it was kind of slow going, but I'm okay with like setting the mood and doing some pacing and laying some groundwork. You know, you're doing some mundane things, walking around the house, exploring, looking at things, but you know, it started getting kind of that creepy. And again, it's a first-person game, and you're in a house, and it looks just as good as PT, pretty close. You know,
Which looked
ridiculously
scary real.
Yeah,
Like that
Yeah.
was
very like real. And the fact that they said we toned down the graphics to make it
Yeah.
look more indie. It's like, you mean it could look better?
yeah.
You know,
They were like, we didn't want to give away that it was the Fox engine. I'm like, what? So like this was like muddied somehow?
yeah, but yeah, and it looked really good, and like it gets really creepy at the end, and it gets kind of, and then there's like a jump scare at the very end and everything. So if you're watching the trailer, just, you know, if you have a bad heart or something, just be ready when it gets to the last few seconds there. But watching, I'm like, ooh, this looks really good. And right now, this looks like it's a PC game. I don't know if it's going to be ported to anything. Probably not.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I might have to get it when it comes out, because it looks good, and I was really curious about playing Silent Hills.
Right.
I was wondering, like, would Silent Hills be a first person? Hopefully not. I kind of like Silent Hill to be its third person thing.
Yeah.
Kind of a
We never found out for sure how close Silent Hills was going to be to what PT was.
yeah. They never even say anything about it.
There was some talk where I think like Guillermo del Toro had kind of talked about roughly the vision that they'd had for it, and it sounded like it was along the lines of what we saw, but
I would imagine it couldn't be too much, because what's the purpose of having Norman Reedus as likeness
right,
if you're not going to
see him, right?
Like, if you're just using him for cutscenes, like, well,
Yeah, so I don't know if it was going to be more focused in a house, when that was kind of what he was talking about, or you know, if they were going to go with maybe a first person and it pulls out now and then. I don't really know. We never will know.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's dead and dead.
Yeah,
It's
which is too bad, because that PT trailer was really, really cool.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the radio, what was being said on that, random numbers, random phrases like "look behind you." I said "look behind you," those type of stuff, and I don't know, just really neat. But the Allison Road looks pretty cool. So hopefully it captures that same feel that
Yeah.
PT had, and that'd be a fun one to play. I'd play that.
Yeah. Yeah, looks like it might be
that'll-
pretty fun.
I think so.
Yeah. Might be cool on the Wii U. Maybe put some
Yeah,
gamepad
you know.
additions in there. But
Fatal Frame's gonna be so great on the Wii U.
Fatal Frame, yeah. I guess it wasn't part of the E3 demonstration or presentation, but it was shown off, I guess, at some point during the week. That does look cool.
Yeah,
It does look cool. I haven't played a Fatal Frame game since like PlayStation 1, so I think it was on PlayStation. So I'm curious to see. I guess they've been popular in Japan for years, and very few of them ever made it here. But this one looks good, and you know what? It kind of breaks up. Not that I have a problem with it, but it kind of breaks up, the catalog on the Wii U, which in the beginning had, Assassin's Creed, and there was a Batman Arkham game on there, I believe. Like there was a good mix, and now it's pretty much all like Nintendo style, and it's
yeah.
more inviting and friendly. So it's kind of cool to see this game come out and kind of shake things up a little bit.
Yeah.
And be like, I'm looking for something darker.
Japanese horror has a different feel to it.
It does.
You think of like The Ring and The Grudge were, I believe, both Japanese originally.
They were, yeah.
They were Americanized slightly, but having not seen too much of the originals, they seem like the American versions had kind of a similar feel. Not
They were-
totally the thing, but
yeah,
a similar
they were
feel.
close.
So I'm guessing the Fatal Frames, I never played any of them. I only saw like a little bit of them. Probably have that same sort of Japanese horror feel as opposed to the American style horror that Resident Evil, Silent Hill, those type of games tend to capture. Where was I going with that? I don't know. Just yeah, I don't know. It's gone.
Breaks up the the horror genre in general.
Yeah.
Horror game genre, maybe.
I just keep thinking about like, well, it's gonna be cool because you're gonna be able to use that Wii pad and hold it up like an actual camera and take pictures with it because you'll be able to have like that big screen.
Yeah. Which is funny because there is no rear-facing camera on the Wii U, so I'm not sure if they just do it by like just gyros.
Yeah,
And
I
just
guess so.
you holding it, upright would be
Yeah,
enough.
you could hold like down to by the floor and just turn it vertical.
Yeah,
and
that might be
probably,
enough. Yeah.
But that should be pretty good. You gonna get that when it comes out? You think?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll get it when it comes out, just budget wise,
eventually.
but eventually I'd like to get it. Yeah, that looks like it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I was looking forward to Silent Hills, even though I don't have a PlayStation 4 and I don't really have one in my, in my path anytime soon. But like that kind of like reinvigorated my interest in like the horror games a little bit.
That like Silent Hills might have been the game that was gonna sell me a PlayStation 4.
Really?
Yeah, it's like shoot, now I have to get a PlayStation 4 also because of
Right, because
Silent
of
Hills.
Silent Hills. Yeah.
But yay, it saved me like $400.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
Oh, I forgot I wanted to mention this. This is shifting gear. Unless you had something else to say about.
No, that was it.
I mentioned Smash Brothers Brawl before. I was actually going through and playing it a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, oh, I wanted to play something, and it's like, let me play through a Subspace Embassy, which is like the story mode of that game, if you will.
I played a little bit of it.
Yeah, which is basically a
kinda cool.
side-scrolling beat 'em up,
Yeah.
essentially. And it's a way also for you to unlock all the characters that you haven't unlocked via the other means of unlocking them. So I'm like, well, when I had to get my Wii system restored, basically, I lost all my unlocked characters.
Oh, no
Pain in the
way,
butt to
really?
get-
They
Yeah.
couldn't transfer them over or anything?
Well, stupid me didn't do a system backup before I sent my
Oh.
because I thought they were just going to replace the CD-ROM. I thought that was the only the
The
ROM
optical
drive.
drive.
Yeah, the optical drive. Thank you. I thought that's all they're going to do. It's like, yeah, I replaced the optical drive and did a system restore. I'm like, no, I did it. But that's my fault for being dumb and not even thinking about it.
Right.
Which is weird. Based off my profession, you'd think that would have been the first thing I did was back up
Yeah, you're
the
the
system
backup guy.
files. Yeah. So I was going to go through and unlock them all, So I'm playing through the Subspace Embassy, and I get through the first fight, I suppose, and first like side scroll and beat everybody up, and then it's supposed to go to the next cinematic, and it's like error on disk.
No way.
What the heck? What? Like, huh? That's odd. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe something just got goobered up. So reset it, put the game back in, went through, played it again. Which actually, different characters like sometimes show up or get captured. Because when I replayed it, I just picked like a different character.
Yeah.
You start off like you pick Kirby or Mario, so I picked Mario and beat the crap out of Kirby, and then you pick certain people when the bad people show up. You got like Princess Peach, Princess Zelda. The first time I played it, Princess Zelda got turned into like a statue and taken away, and the second time I played it, Peach got taken away.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh, that's weird. But then the same cutscene area, the game errored out again for me. It's like, why? And I don't know why. The system's up to date, and that kind of stinks because I liked going through the Subspace Embassy the first time I played it, and I want to go through it again. Dang it!
Yeah.
And now I don't know how.
Is the disc damaged or anything?
No,
Or-
it's like pristine,
I don't know.
and it's like, do I write Nintendo about that? Like, what are they gonna do?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
So you're sorry, kid. Your system's like 9 years old. What
Right.
So that's kind of disappointing. Now I'm like, what games are gonna stop working on it?
Yeah.
So
Well, they have a newer system. No.
that's right. It does play Wii games.
It does
does
play
it?
Wii games. Yeah.
Might have to look into that.
Right. What is it called now? A Wii U?
It had a similar name, if I recall.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so that stinks.
Yeah, that does. It does. That actually reminds me of issues I had with my 3DS. Remember, it was.
Oh yeah.
But still is an issue. I have no idea really what the problem is, but I don't know. I work around it. Maybe someday it'll give me the justification to buy like a new 3DS or something. Something I really don't need. Speaking of actually 3DS, it was a segue that I didn't plan.
Oh, nice.
You had mentioned that you wanted to talk about how you prefer living room consoles over like the handhelds.
Yeah. We were Christian and I were discussing over our over Google Hangouts. We were talking about systems and everything like that, and it's like this is gonna be like our Dr. Spatzo segment where I talk about my weird gaming quirks. I lay down some psychologist couch. They have a field day with me, but you get really into like the 3DS games, and that's something I somewhat envy about you because that you could get into them. Because for me, like, while I can get into them, they always in my mind just are like not quite the same experience for me. Like when I play, and this is just something, this is my own weird quirk, but when I play, and this is I guess more of a more recent thing, not recent, but more of my adulthood thing, started off probably like somewhere in my 20s there, where I want to get probably maximally immersed into a game as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I won't read anything about the game. Like if it's a game I really want to play, then I really want to like have the best possible experience I absolutely can have, such as a Zelda game. I'll read very little on what's actually been confirmed about the game. I'll read some like rumors like before like the game is actually finished. But I prefer home consoles because I could play them on like a big screen, because like I'll turn out lights,
Right.
I'll crank up the sound, and all my senses are dedicated to that game and that experience. And there's no distractions, nothing else going on. I don't have any prior knowledge of what, or I have minimal prior knowledge of what could possibly be happening. And it just, I try to get myself as fully immersed in the game as I possibly can, to the point where it's like I don't want to stop playing. Or I don't think there's a way to stop even playing. With the 3DS, great system as it is, I know I always have in the back of my mind that I could close it any time.
Yeah.
And just it'd be done. It'd be out of my sight. And plus, when you're you open it up, you're just looking at a small little area, and in your peripheral vision there's always something else going on. It's like, whether it's, even if it's just like your couch or a TV or a fan moving back and forth in your the corner of your eye. There's things that like somewhat distract me, and I just feel like they kind of pull me out of the mindset that I'm in that game right there. Because I try to get, like, I don't know, maybe it's just the kid in me, and I try to pretend as much as I can that I am that game. I'm not playing a game, I'm in that game. That's happening.
Yeah.
And when there's things that can ruin that illusion for me, it kind of takes away somewhat the overall gaming experience. Again, not that the 3DS is a bad system or that the games are bad, just my own weird, strange quirk that there's something wrong with me where I just I'll get distracted easy, and I can't get immersed as I could with living room console game type setups. The end.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone. Good night. Now, actually, that's not weird at all. I think there's a lot of people probably share that opinion, and I guess at one point I was maybe the same way. I've tried to be into handheld as much as possible from the start, and I missed out on almost all of the Game Boy. If you count Game Boy Color as being in the same family as the original Game Boy, I did have that. But it kind of, for me, was almost like, our youth, you went to the arcade, and the arcade looked amazing. And
Yeah.
they're just...
It was an experience.
It was
an
it was an experience. And then they're like, well, it's coming out now for like the NES or the Super NES. And I'm like, all right. They get it home, and it wasn't the same experience.
Wasn't quite the same, yeah.
It wasn't quite the same. And I feel like it graphically didn't actually get the same experience until PlayStation 2. And by then in the United States, I think arcades were kind of on the way out.
Yeah.
But
because they started looking like arcades.
that's true. That's true. So when I look back on that, that's almost like a layer below the handheld, where I always wanted my handheld experience to be as good as the console, and be like the living room console, and be like, all right, I have this thing, and this is the thing I play.
Yeah.
The majority of this is what I play. I had the Game Boy Color. You're talking about something that has roots almost in like the NES era, so those graphics just didn't match up, and the sound wasn't quite there. And, Game Boy Advance, really cool, but it more closely modeled Super Nintendo, and by that time we were in pretty much the GameCube era at that point. The DS came out. Now the DS is its own thing. That is not replicating like the living room experience in your hand. That was its own unique thing, and that's why I hold it pretty close and dear. Still to this day, I have not found it, but like I want it. Like the PlayStation Vita was the closest I think I got, where I had like the experience of a console. It looked great. It had all the buttons I was looking for. It was all there, and it was immersive because it was a kind of a bigger screen. It sounded good if you put the headphones in. Everything, it sounded good. So like I was kind of immersed in that. 3DS had better games, so I ultimately kind of stayed more on the 3DS side of the fence. But for me, I always wanted that. Like I always wanted to be able to just say like, well, if I'm in a hotel room, same game console experience I have at home, I have out and about, and I'm still looking for it. I'm kind of hoping to. I don't know what NX is going to be. None of us really know. There seems to be this idea that it could be both. That would be cool with me if I could take it somewhere. But for me now, even though it doesn't totally replicate, like the experience I have on the Wii U and the 3DS are very different. I think if you put a gun to my head and you said you have to choose one, it'd be very difficult for me to do. I'd actually probably choose the Wii U, but I would want it to be the 3DS.
Yeah.
It's just I like that experience. And for me in recent years, not even since I became a parent and my time was more limited, but just recent years in general, it was just convenient for me to be like, you know what, I could finish up this game in the bedroom, and while I'm laying in bed for a couple minutes, I could finish up whatever I was doing. Or if the wife was watching TV, I'm not like, listen, I gotta play some Zelda. Move. Like she could do that, and I can play. And that's actually, I played almost all of Ocarina of Time 3D, number one on my top 20 game list, on my couch in the living room, sitting next to my wife, but I had a little, 5-inch screen or whatever it was I was playing on. And the funny thing about it is, when I look back on it and I'm picturing in my head playing the game, it to me was immersive. And maybe it's the quality of the game, and the experience of what it was, but I was like in it, because I think back on it and I don't remember seeing stuff. I just remember seeing that screen.
Right.
I'm like that now with Animal Crossing when I play
Okay.
that, which is another game I considered getting for you, but I thought it was too much of a dice roll, so I didn't do it. That one too, for some reason, when I'm playing it, I kind of can tune out everything around me. Maybe it's like reading a book.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Make no mistake, the 3DS is great at what it does.
Yeah,
It's the perfect system for if you can play a short clip, or like that you need to be able to stop at
Right.
any point and just close it down, or it's the perfect system when you're waiting for something to happen. Like I was in a medical center waiting room the other day and brought the 3DS with me, and I was
Sure.
playing. It's like, and I brought some headphones, and it made the time go by really fast. It's great for play like right before you go to bed. If some people read books, you could just
yeah,
crack it open, play for like that 15 minutes while you're unwinding, and put it down. When my band was touring, yeah, that's not great. When we were traveling, it's probably a better term. Like we played a show out in Ohio. It's like 7 hours away, and it was great because I was just crushing my way through Ocarina of Time 3D during that whole time, and it made that 7 hour trip, 14-hour round trip,
Right.
go very fast for me. So it's a great system at what it's meant for.
yeah.
So I have no qualms with it for that. Just with that small screen, doesn't allow me to get inside the screen.
Right. You like to be completely
Yeah.
immersed in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I can't get completely absorbed into it. Throwing headphones on helps a little bit.
Yeah,
Like,
helps a little.
when you have more pure sound and it's right there in your ears, as opposed to I'm sure the best speakers they could get, they're 1 inch in size. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's nothing like, well, in my case, I have a home theater system with like a 93-inch screen upstairs and like a surround sound system and a subwoofer right underneath the couch there. So
Yeah, there's no comparison.
yeah, it's hard to compare. Yeah, it's hard to compete against that, and that really helps. Like, I don't want to say I need that, but it really helps me just help that game just make it seem like it's the only thing going on at the time. So it's like it's even hard for like I'm so spoiled now. It's like if I have to play on like my 55-inch TV over there, it's like, well, kind of small.
Yeah, I could see
I
things.
can see things
me.
around it.
Yeah.
So I'm very spoiled now.
Yeah. No, I think that's there's people that would say the same thing about movies.
I was going to mention
Yeah.
movies are probably a good parallel.
Yeah.
That's why people sometimes go to movie theaters, because giant screen,
Yeah.
surround, and everything's dark all around you, so there's hardly any distractions except other people. Why it's a different experience than coming home and watching it on TV, which is probably why more and more home theaters are popping up, because
Yeah.
you could replicate that immersion of watching a movie at your house. So if you could do it, do it.
Yeah.
Just wish arcades were still around.
Yeah, I know. They were getting too expensive when they were fading, but they were cool, and like you said, the experience was just
There was
unique.
something about, and our one, I remember I was talking with our friend Daryl the one time. But there was something about arcades. There was just, I don't know. They were darker.
Yeah.
They were darker.
They were dark.
They oftentimes they were like butted up against like a bar or something
Yeah.
like that, or a bowling alley or something, and they had like a smell to them, sometimes like a musty
Right.
smell.
Yeah, almost like that. The cigarette smell that's like long been there. It's not
Yeah,
wave.
that's
It's not like
stale.
in the air, but it's stale. It's like in
Yeah,
the walls
a
and
stale
stuff.
cigarette smell, and arcades. They all have like their marquees like lit up, all this sound being made. And when you're a kid, it's almost like probably being like you're in a casino or
Yeah,
or
because there's
Yeah.
noise ever. You
Yeah.
hear all the games.
all the games are making
Yeah.
sounds. Yeah, unless they turned off their demo sounds, but a lot of them kept their demo sounds on. And it's constantly sounds going and people talking, and and it was just a neat. I don't know. It's just there's something about them. It was like a building which is all these video games, all these sounds, and it was a really unique experience. And it's too bad that I think kids miss out on that today because there's very few arcades like
Yeah.
that. I mean, there's one in Hershey Park
Yeah,
that
there
actually
is.
has all the old arcade games. There's one in Binghamton. I wish I can remember the name. It's like the robot like warehouse or something. Oh crap, I can't remember the name. But he has all the old arcade games just as a small little place. Not quite the same experience because it's kind of tight. Everything's kind of packed
Yeah.
in there somewhat. And so that's why I'm trying to like build one in my house here. Like I already have like a cabinet running, and I have a slot machine. I have a dome hockey table, and my next thing is I'm going to build a sit down racer
Oh, neat.
and run racing games through that. So
That'd be cool.
because I want an arcade because I think they're the cool. I thought they were the coolest things. You walk like when I was a kid, 10, 11, 12, I walk into an arcade. I just felt like man, it's like this is my home. This is where I belong. There's just I'm surrounded by games. This is my happy
Yeah,
place.
right,
It's like
yeah.
a zen garden for me. It was.
Yeah.
I miss those days. Because modern arcades are not the same. The
No.
games that are in modern arcades are not the same. There's all these dancing games.
Yeah.
A lot of driving games. Like we went to Dave and Buster's up in Syracuse.
Okay, yeah.
For Daryl's bachelor party, and that was pretty cool. But wasn't the same feeling as the old school arcades. It had a lot of arcades in it, and it was like spacious. It was nice, but it was more brightly lit than a typical arcade.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta have the dankness.
Yeah. And it was mostly more modern games, which was basically lots of racing games, lots of rail shooters.
Yeah. Yeah, like the virtual cop kind of games
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. House of the Dead type stuff.
Right. House of the Dead.
Big
Yeah.
Game Hunter, all those type of things. Lots of racing games. They actually had a Mario Kart arcade game, which was pretty cool.
That's cool. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, and you could play like 4 people racing all at once against each other.
Huh. Actually, Mario Kart.
Yes,
Wow.
legit Nintendo Mario Kart.
Wow, neat.
Yeah. So that was pretty fun. So that's probably like some of the closest things you can get. I'm sure every state has their one old school arcade place. I think there's one in Washington that has a bunch of arcade games and everything that I had. So yeah, I miss arcades.
Yeah, that's actually something my wife and I could kind of talk about because she's not really into too many games, but she grew up in the arcade era too. She's a little older than I am, so like we talk about like the game she plays, and she's like, yeah, I forget what game it was. She's like, yeah, we worked hard and we were able to get like the score to like roll over. And I'm like, oh my god, like there's just she talks about the arcades that she'd go to, and I'm talking about the ones I go to, and I'm like, you remember this game? Like, oh yeah, and this one, and there comes a point where like our overlap kind of ends, and like she wasn't going anymore, and then I was, and like the Mortal Kombat games and stuff came out,
Right.
and Street Fighter's the best arcade game ever made, but like that's kind of when it went away. But there's this whole group of us that grew up in these arcades, and
Yeah.
they don't exist anymore.
Yeah. And what's nice about arcades is like any of the real popular ones, like from the early days, you usually find them. So you had no problem with finding a Pac-Man.
Yeah, they were always
Or
there.
a Dig Dug or Frogger or Punch Out or something. There's always those classic games that were there for the people that Donkey Kong, you know. So if like you were a little bit older than we were when we were 12 playing like Mortal Kombat or whatever, you could, hey, I remember Pac-Man, let's go play Pac-Man.
Yeah.
It's the same game.
It's the same. Yeah, it hasn't changed. Yeah.
Yeah, I love arcades. Miss them. But yeah, that's just rounding back. So it's arcades were kind of similar with the experience of getting immersed. While there was a lot of sound and everything going on, it's kind of the darkened room.
Yeah, it's all part of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, the experience was actually the noise and the
Yeah.
darkness and the smells, and
And the people, and
you're playing and someone puts the quarter down on the screen,
you're like, crap.
signifying that they're next, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Shit, I better go far here.
Yeah.
And just, it was also nicer because arcades, like back when we were kids, it was like a quarter.
Yeah. Mhm.
Which I'm sure due to inflation is probably it's like the same equivalent like $1 to our parents, but it was a lot easier to ask for a quarter than ask for $1.
Yeah.
So once they started getting, I remember what was the what was that one arcade game where you had the gun that actually the when you shot the gun like moved.
Time Crisis?
Time Crisis, yes.
Yeah.
That was one of the first games I remember where I'm like, it ended and I didn't die. It was because I ran out of time.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
what the? Wait a second. Because you're getting like 30 seconds to get to like a checkpoint. And if you don't play it flawlessly, like if you're ducking, you're just waiting till like the firing stops and you get up and you shoot everybody and then you duck down, 30 seconds, the game's over. I'm like, what? This is bullcrap. And then that game for some reason was so popular, probably because the gun moved.
Right.
That everybody's like, hey, why don't we put timers on our games too? That way, kids are spending more money because they don't get to, they don't play as long, before they have to put in a new quarter. And that's when I think between that and plus that game was more expensive to play. It was like $1 or something.
It was like $1, yeah.
$1 for like 30 seconds. I was so mad the first time I played because I watched some kid play it and like that was really cool. The gun moves. I put in my $1 in 30 seconds and I was so mad. I felt like I got cheated because I was so used to you put in a quarter like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and you play till you die.
Yeah.
3 lives, you play until you die. If you die quickly, that's your fault because you suck. But if you're good at it, you could get pretty far in that game on 1 quarter. Just the way it should be.
Right. Yeah.
So when they started cheating, that was, I think, another thing that might help kill the arcades was
Yeah.
upping the price and making it so you don't lose on your merits, you lose on time.
Yeah. Similar thing may happen in the mobile industry with these in-app payments. I'm not sure how far that's going to go before it gets too top heavy and then falls apart.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. But no, I mean, to kind of swing back to your original thing, I think it's a perfectly valid argument to say just for the immersion that you prefer to play on a big screen in the living room or home theater or whatever, as opposed to the handheld experience, which is a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And kind of going back with like the distractions, another reason why I have just as hard a time getting into PC games than I do with with living room console games, because the PC, I don't know, for some reason I can always think like, well, I could check my mail or just minimize this. Let me check my mail or let me check what's going on. Or for some reason, the PC just doesn't feel like a console. So when I'm playing the game, I know I'm playing on a computer.
Yeah.
There's something else I could be doing on the computer or something.
You're typically sitting at the desk that you do work at.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Good point. That could be it. Like, and I have games that should be immersive. Like, and this back when I did a lot of PC gaming, Medal of Honor, Allied Assault, playing these games where, you really gotta, be on top of your game and make sure. And it's an epic war scene. You're pretty much replaying Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say the D-Day invasion. I'm saying Saving Private Ryan because they almost ripped that scene off verbatim.
Same stuff, same like people holding their guts and
same almost the same exact lines. Like, get the Bangalores.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, wow. Why don't you just call me Tom Hanks or something?
Yeah.
So, but it's a really immersive game. But I don't know. There's something about it. When I was playing it, I just knew I was playing on the computer. Like I knew, I installed this game. And, and I was playing on a computer, and it may be because, another thing with PC game is the games are made to run on any PC, regardless of the specs. So you could have slowdowns, you could have choppiness, and it's going to look different based off of how good your computer is. Whereas, a game that's built for Nintendo is built for the same Nintendo. Everybody has the same Nintendo.
Yeah.
It has the same system, it has the same CPU, the same memory, the same video processing. So it's going to look the same regardless. That's not the case with computer games.
That's true.
So that might have an effect on it too. So you're playing really smoothly, and then you'll get to a part where all of a sudden there's an explosion with high-end graphical explosions, and all of a sudden you just stutter, and it's like, what happened?
Yeah, it breaks the experience a little.
Yeah. It ruins the breaks the experience, probably a good phrase. Ruins the moment somewhat. Yeah. I think that's all I have to say about that for now. Not sure there's some stuff I left out. We'll talk about it maybe in the future.
Sounds good. What have you been playing lately?
Ooh, what have I been playing lately? Okay, well, let me ask you first.
Okay.
What have you been playing?
I haven't been playing a whole lot. Really just Splatoon. I've been playing Splatoon.
How's that going? You mentioned you were in a Autobots versus Decepticons. Was
Yeah.
it?
So they started maybe about a month after the game came out. These things called Splatfests, and they take over the whole game for the day. Like it all you can do is participate in this thing basically. Well, unless you want to play single player, you can do that. But it's this. It's so cool when you start on a normal day. You're in this lobby area, kind of. It's like a central part of like a city, and it's daytime, and you can go into the shops, or you can go into like the arena, or there's like an alleyway. You could talk to this guy or girl, no one really knows for sure, named Spike. This game is so cool. And he, you could kind of have him or her or whatever acquire different types of attire and equipment and stuff. It's similar because like you'll encounter someone in a game and you're like, oh, I like their sneakers, and then you can go to him and he's like, well, I'll get it for you, and then like a day or two later they arrive.
It's like a trench coat. He opens it up.
Kind of, yeah.
Got some sneakers for you.
It's neat.
Hand it to you like in a paper bag, like under his armpit.
Yeah, that'd be great. But normally this is all taking place during the day, and then when you go into the levels, they're all during the day. Splatfests are always at night, so there's constantly fireworks going off, which artwork in the explosions are sometimes from Miiverse drawings that people do.
Oh, really?
The levels, like stuff, are like they're just painted with Miiverse art, like on the walls of billboards. It's such a cool experience, and like people are dancing, and since it's nighttime in the levels too, the ink actually is still brightly colored, so it's like it glows.
Oh, neat!
It's the coolest experience. It's like one of those things where like you almost want to tell people like, yeah, the Splatfests are so much fun. You got to participate, and they're like, well, how do I get to them? Well, you got to get the game. Like it'd be like, oh, it's in a game, but it's a whole experience. But the theme of each one is two different teams, and the first one was cats versus dogs, and you picked which which
better
one
probably. Or...
Yeah, and then they pick. There's two factors. There's the popularity vote, and then there's the vote of like the team that won more battles. I don't. That's weighted more. I think it's like 1.5 times or something. So I was Team Cat, and we won the popularity vote. No, we lost the popularity vote, but we won the most matches. But the popularity vote was like so skewed or something that we ended up losing anyway. Or maybe it was vice versa. I don't really remember. But then they had like hot dogs versus marshmallows, because it was like summer. So it was like, what?
Hot dogs are clearly...
That's what my pick was, but apparently marshmallow, I think, won. And then what was cool was that this most recent one, they teamed up with Hasbro, and it was Autobots or Decepticons. So...
I was going to ask, like, if... they had to get permission to use those terms, because those are copyrighted terms.
The shirts actually, because when you pick a team, you get a shirt, and like you can build up the level of the shirt.
Also, it actually had the Autobots.
It actually had
logos.
The logos.
Those are trademarked as well. So that's
so they teamed up. I guess in Japan, they had. This was so funny. Like
GoBots or this.
No, this was not
Some
this
strange,
past
like,
one.
Ultraman.
It was not this past
Jet
one. It was
Jaguar.
2 or 3 Splatfests ago. So like. July's maybe they had one for in the States. It might have been the marshmallow hot dog thing. Over in Japan, it was which type of like udon noodle you liked, and it was like a brand name one. So I mean,
really?
Yeah. So like when you look at it here in the States, you're just like, okay, so it's either the red container or the green container. But like they were real, so people are like, well, is it just a matter of time before it's like, Hershey versus Mars, or something,
McDonald's versus Burger King,
something like that. So
Coke versus Pepsi.
They went to Hasbro and made the Autobots versus Decepticons, but
that's almost like some free, like not free, but some advertisement based.
Yeah,
right there. You can do some partnering there.
Yeah. So I played that on Saturday. I actually haven't logged back in, so I don't know who won, but I know when I was playing, my team, because I picked Autobots, my team filled up quick, and we were waiting a while, like a minute or so, until the Decepticon team filled in. So I'm thinking we probably won the popularity vote. But man, I got, and my teams got obliterated. I think I won 2 matches the whole night, and Lisa's like, you should really switch to a different team. I'm like, but it's already changing. Like, other people drop out, and I get mixed up with new people, and I'm like, we just can't win. And it was just, there was one game where there was like 3 of them that had rollers, and like we had
man.
like 2 rollers, and I'm like, well, that won't be too bad. I'm a pretty good shooter, so I'm like, if I can get in the front lines there, I could take them out. But they once they got an opening, they like rammed right through me and just went up to like our starting area. So I respawn. I'm like, oh crap, they're right here. So like the couple of us were getting in there, and
Out of curiosity, what happens when you get shot? With,
um,
I'm sure you don't die like in other
you-
shooters.
you take, I guess you do. You take a couple of, you could take several hits depending on, what kind of attire you have,
Yeah.
and whatnot. But
So when you run out of your energy,
yeah,
or life, or whatever it is,
you more or less just like pop, I guess, and you see like a floaty like squid go up off the screen.
Oh.
So you basically
Weird.
die. And
it's
then,
like the opposite of the Slayers from Krull. These weird squid things come out of the heads and they,
Yeah,
they fly into the ground for some reason, which
Yeah.
is never explained in that movie.
no, they didn't. You're like a human squid hybrid, I guess. So like it's like your squid spirit
Okay.
going away. But it's even though like I got like the crap kicked out of me, when I was done playing the game, I was like, that was satisfying. Like that game is so freaking good.
That
I didn't-
Splatfest sounds like a blast.
It is. It's so much fun.
You're describing here, it kind of reminds me of the time I played World of Warcraft on New Year's Eve, and they were just fireworks, and
Right.
everybody just dancing
It was-
around and having a
Yeah.
good time.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. On normal days, like it's the same. You still see people in your lobby area. A lot of them are standing around. Some of them are dancing, but there's just more going on. There's lights flashing, and explosions, and the music is different, and it's just so cool. But I think the last time we talked, I had really just kind of gotten into the game, and I wasn't able to participate in ranked battles or anything like that. I am now. They also raised the level cap. I was like, yeah, level cap is 20. Well, it's 50 now.
Whoa.
They upped it to 50. So I was like 12, and I'm like, 8 more levels. I'll get there later on. I don't play it every day, so I'm like, I'll get there. Maybe in the fall I'll be up with everybody else. And 50. So I'm playing games, and it's like, here's me like level 12, and then you'll see like 35, 26, 40. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
So-
it kind of thinks they match you up with people like that.
I haven't found it to be that much of a barrier.
That's
I don't
good.
know why. Their balance is pretty good.
Okay.
I'm not really sure why. I think the more higher level you get, you definitely have access to better weapons and stuff. So you run into a guy that has like the Gatling gun, and you just get wiped out. Then I picked up the Gatling gun myself, and it's neat, but like you have to charge it. So you hold down the fire
Okay.
button, it doesn't do anything, and
Yeah.
then it spins, and then you let go of the fire button, and it just starts letting go whatever you had charged up. So I think there's different weapons for different people that like them. You definitely get better stuff as you level up, but I found that if I'm against a team that's higher level than me, I can kind of hold my own. I do pretty well.
Good. That's cool.
Yeah.
Neat.
But it's cool. I have participated in the ranked battles a little bit. There's several different game types in ranked. Now, in normal, you just have the turf war, which is whatever team map like has more of their ink on the map is the
Yeah.
winning team. I played Splat Zones, which is almost like a domination or double domination from Unreal
Unreal.
Tournament, which I think also Call of Duty may have, but I don't know. Similar concept, except they kind of have a square mapped out, or squares, and your team has to paint that entire square and control it, and it starts a countdown timer.
Okay.
So I played that. There's another one. It's called I forget what it's called. It's like a tower thing where there's a tower in the middle of the level, and you jump on it, and it moves into your enemy's base. And I guess when it gets to the end, you win. Requires a lot of teamwork because you
Okay.
could jump on it, but now everybody's focusing on
Shooting
you,
it,
so you
yeah.
need to have your friends like kind of helping you out. And there's 1 or 2 others that are more recent and I haven't partaken in yet, but they keep adding stuff to this game. It's like every time
Neat.
I log into the game, which is like once every week or two, it's like, hey, we have some new weapons to announce. There's a new level. There's a new. It's they're just
Cool.
loading it up. It's cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, could be my game of the year.
Wow.
It would be.
It sounds a lot like
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like everybody that sounds like everybody who's played it I've talked to who has it enjoys it, and all the review I've yet to I think hear anything negative about it.
Yeah, yeah. Usually, a lot of the negative stuff has actually even gone away because they've changed things. Like when it came out, there was some things like, well, they don't have this or they don't let you do this, but they fixed it. It was all stuff that they just like, hey, wait, we just didn't get it there yet.
Yeah. Nice.
So that's really all I've been playing.
Cool. Very nice. Me, I've been playing the last few weeks Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker.
Yay!
Yes, for the GameCube, except I played it on the Wii. Pretty far into it. I'm at the point now where I'm collecting Triforce of Courage pieces. I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm just right there because I just rescued Tingle.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I forgot you had to rescue him because I had this Triforce map. And I was in a temple going through it, and I'm like, oh, well, I have this Triforce map, and my money's maxed out, so let me go have him decipher this because I know it costs a lot. That way I can make the money back while I'm in the temple. And I went to his tower and like, where is he? Like, oh, gotta rescue him. Sail to Windfall, and where the hell was he?
Yeah.
And I found him on accident, and I'm like, well, I'll just start looking, and oh, I remember this door. I don't think I went in here, and there he was. But I'm having a lot of fun with this game. Once again, it's Wind Waker. It's a great game.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be a little more thorough this time. Like the first time I played through it, I was kind of rushing through it to get it done before the Wii came out. But this time I'm trying to be more thorough. Like I even have this, like I drew a map, like, and I gridded it out up on a piece of paper and have indicators on if I did what the Fishman was talking about, if I did what's on the island, and if there's anything else and that I need to know about, like if there's like a Korok there, or what if the ghost ship's going to be in there, what type of the moon. So, because sometimes the Fishman will tell you about something on a totally different island, and when I get it, I'll put a little check mark by. I have a small square inside each square that indicates the Fishman, and then if I do something on the island, I'll check off the box, and then once they're both checked and everything, I'll just black out that place on the grid. So I'm like, all right, I did everything on that island. I don't have to go back there. So I'm being much more thorough with this one. Interestingly, I cannot remember how to get the Picto box from that Linzo guy. I can't remember. Every time I go in there, he just shushes me out.
Yeah.
I think you have to kind of catch him in the act of doing something, if I recall, but I can't remember like what to do.
Yeah, I don't know. Your memory is usually better than mine on these things. I don't remember
I did
either.
it. I did it fine the first time I played through. I had that Picto box really early on, and it kind of stinks because there's some things I want to do that require the Picto box. I can't get it, and I refuse to look it up too. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I know I can figure this out. I did it before.
I've done it before.
Yeah. But it's kind of interesting. Like this game, it's unique, I suppose, in that this is one of the first games that seems like I think of where Link has a actual blood family visible.
Yeah, shown in the game. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, after that, like I'm trying to think. Well, all right. Link to the Past, he had his uncle, who was who was in it for like all of 3 minutes.
Right, he's in one scene, and then he's
dead. Like,
yeah.
the first place you go, or first place you're allowed to go, he's right there, like 20 steps in, dead.
Actually, he doesn't die.
Well,
He recovers at the end of the game.
yes, he dies, then he recovers.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, it's implied he dies. He doesn't speak anymore once he gives you the sword and everything. So.
Yeah, and he sure as hell doesn't show up anywhere in the game, like in a bed.
Right,
So
yeah.
It's like,
Like, avenge me, her.
Yeah.
Too wounded to go out. I always interpret it as he died and then you wished him back to life.
yeah, it could be.
With the Triforce. brings people back from the dead. Because he brought the king back from the dead at the end too. The king was definitely dead in the intro. He was a skeleton, and then at the end there, yeah, he's fully recovered. But that's actually kind of neat that like grandmother's there, has a lot of speaking lines, and his sister Errol, she is a key part in getting kidnapped. She's the main reason he gets off the island in the first place. So I think that's pretty neat because it just adds more to his character about what he is and who he is and why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, that's why I like him so much.
Yeah. Playing this time through, it reminded me of the first time I was playing through, and the big octos.
Oh yeah.
I remember the first time I was playing through, I was talking to some guy in like that milk bar, and he's like, "Oh, there's these big octos out there on the ocean." And I didn't know if he was serious or just something the Nintendo put in there, like, "Oh, there's an Octorok, legend or something like that." And it took me a while playing through the first time, but I finally ran into one. I'm like, "What do I do? Nothing's working," because I didn't have anything that could really hurt it at the time. And then I got sucked in. I'm like, "No, this better not be game over. I don't want to die." And then it just spits you out and you land somewhere and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, well, that wasn't too bad. But man, that was creepy. That was legitimately scary for me because, the screen goes dark, the sky gets dark, there's lightning and rain and everything. There's a big whirlpool. It's a really, really cool effect and everything. And it kind of got me the second time around. I was sailing, and I remember the first time playing, somebody mentions if you see a bunch of seagulls,
right,
that's where the big octos are. And I was sailing, not really paying attention, and
coming into view.
Well, it wasn't they were coming into view. I was sailing, and like I was just going along because I was looking ahead at the island I had to go through. I was looking off in the distance, and then something just made me snap, and I noticed like there is these seagulls like right there in the foreground. I'm like, oh crap, I better turn. And by then it's like just used to see like the dun 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 dun. And I'm like, oh crap, here we go. And at the again, didn't have anything I could fight them with, so I'm just like, well, I know I don't die, so I just kind of steered myself into him to get it over with, because I'm like, what am I gonna do? Just watch him go around in circles a few times. So, but that was kind of funny. I like Beetle in this game, like the salesman. Yeah. I get a kick out of him for some reason, but I always feel bad. Like even when I buy stuff off of him, and you in the conversation, he's like, "Bye," and when you walk away, he always like looks down, like really sad when you leave. His eyes just naturally go down, like he's like all depressed that you left. And every time he leaves, I feel bad. I'm like, "Oh, but I bought something."
Yeah.
And I know that's just like the default position the character's eyes go, but it just looked like he's like all sad and lonely that you left. He has no more friends and company. But yeah, I'm having a really good time with it this time, and I'm doing a lot of stuff that I didn't do the first time. So
this is your second time through?
This is going to be my second full time through. There were a couple times where I started playing it and maybe got quarter of the way or a third of the way through it before I lost interest or something happened. Or like I actually started playing it last year, after beating it once this will be my third time through it. I beat it once a few years ago, though I don't remember doing it because I was playing through again last year, and I was playing when Link had his regular clothes on. He never gets the green clothes.
Oh, okay.
You're playing like the hero quest or the hero version of it, and you could understand the ancient Hylian, which I think is cool.
That
as
is cool.
Heck.
Yeah.
So that it's I had a lot of fun this time through, and it's a great game. Which is a nice segue into this next thing we started talking about. It's a great game, but we also were talking about how neat it would be if there was a cartoon made off of this game, not series, but the Wind Waker,
character, like that Link
era, that type of thing. And if you think about it, I just think it would be a perfect, if Nintendo was going to make cartoons again, it's a perfect candidate for
Yeah.
a Saturday morning type cartoon. I mean, first of all, since it's cell shaded, you know what it's going to look like. Like,
Yeah.
the characters are pretty much already cartoons, so you have the graphic style and everything that's gonna how it's gonna look. I think it could work with both self-contained episodes or like a season-long story arc. Like, and since it's a Saturday morning cartoon, like it really doesn't need too much explanation or exposition, really. Like you don't need to explain why a boat or a fish could talk.
Yeah, right. It just is
You
what
know,
it
it's
is.
just
Right.
assume like it's a
Yeah.
cartoon. It's like things talk in cartoons. And you really wouldn't have to follow like canon to a T. Like you could take some liberties because it's a cartoon.
Yeah, I think it would be a mistake actually to follow it too closely, because then it'd be like, well, I don't know how we're gonna make this work. Well, shoehorn it in, as opposed
Yeah.
to like, well, that's not gonna work. So just rewrite it.
Right, yeah.
Make it work for the screen.
Like Tetra is a more interesting character than her Princess Zelda.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't be opposed to like she knows who she really is and possesses the Triforce of Wisdom, but just keep her dressed as Tetra and acting like Tetra. She's way more interesting of a character that way.
Yeah.
As the pirate girl. You know, she doesn't she can know who she is, she can have that Triforce, but you know she's the princess, but keep her as Tetra. So you don't have to turn her into Princess Zelda like the game does.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
But if you were to follow canon, I could see like even the first 3 seasons could all be based off of Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks.
Yeah.
Now, granted,
Oh yeah.
I haven't played Spirit Tracks or Phantom Hourglass yet, but you know if you're gonna follow canon, that's 3 seasons right there. You have 3 games with stories you could base the series off of, and I could actually see like the first episode, like the very first opening scene after the title sequence or the opening theme song or whatever, we can start like right with that legendary hero story.
Yeah.
Pretty much just to set the settings,
Right.
for lack of a better term. And then it could follow the game somewhat closely, like Arrow waking Link getting his green tunic and hat from Grandma for his birthday, seeing the Helmet Rock King carrying Tetra and the pirates chasing it, Link saving Tetra up on top of the mountain there, meeting the pirates. So now you have a lot of principal players already introduced right there in the first episode, and then kind of end with the cliffhanger of Arrow getting taken by the Helm Rock King.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. So that
So,
first episode
yeah.
really just needs to be kind of that exposition. You don't have to tell a whole,
Right, you're introducing Link, you're introducing Arrow, you're introducing Tetra, you're introducing pirates, and then in Grandma, the island, very very introductory, and then give people a reason to tune in next week. Arrow gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
So, did you have anything you wanted?
No, that would be a good like base to start that off of, because you have all the main players, and I think I would definitely keep that family component intact, because like
Yes.
kids can relate to that. Kind of learn from it. It would be kind of cool to have an educational component to it. I think of these things now because I'm a parent.
Yeah.
So I think of this stuff and I'm like, wow, this cartoon is pointless. It doesn't teach kids anything. Because like when we were kids, we had like G.I. Joe and stuff, and like, or even Master of the Universe, like with He-Man. Like there was, you may not have noticed it when you were a kid, but it was there. Like throughout the episode, there was like someone was being bullied or something, and there was a resolution to the episode. And then, in the case of G.I. Joe, you had that, PSA where
Pork chop sandwiches and stuff.
well,
No.
yeah, right, yeah. But in the unedited versions,
Yeah.
it would be like a more direct, like, hey, you shouldn't be bullying him, and whatever.
He-Man had a moral
He-Man
at the
had
end every episode.
Yep, those were cool. my kid doesn't really watch much other than like Thomas the Train, and those are just pretty much educational. But I've a lot of people that I work with, they have kids that are a little bit older, and they're like, there's nothing good on because none of it's educational. So it would be cool if Nintendo could kind of take that and be like, take something from it,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely keep like a make the grandmother like more than just the means of getting your green clothes.
Yeah, keep them like morally straight, or teach them lessons about
Yeah.
life, or
Have some moral dilemmas, maybe like, he has to lie or something like that and
Yeah.
gets caught, or, just stuff that could teach kids good lessons. And I don't care, I'd watch it.
yeah, I would do.
Like, even
yeah.
if I don't have any kids right now, and even if I never have kids, I'd probably still watch it because I'm like, it's Zelda.
It's Zelda, yeah.
And it has to be like, this isn't something you could do like half-assed. I hate cursing.
No,
but,
I think
like I'd want, like, hopefully Nintendo could put like their full support to this and have good production value. Like, I don't want an excuse me princess style.
No.
Where Nintendo's like, yeah, you can make it, but we'll be over here doing games.
Yeah.
I'd want some support from.
Sounds like on the film front, they're actually finally, after like 20 some years or 20 years, cautiously over the Super Mario Brothers movie, which is why you have not seen a Nintendo movie ever since. Like, we remember it as being bad, and so does Nintendo. So,
Yeah.
apparently they're considering it again.
A Mario movie?
No, well, maybe, but not that one.
Oh.
But they're considering getting back into licensing properties for movies. But I think the idea is kind of like, we'll license it to you, but like we're not gonna like let you run with it.
Right.
So I think it's be much more protective of what.
See, I think it'd be cool as crap if there was like a Mario movie, but it was like CG.
Yeah, that would be great. I don't.
Like a Pixar movie or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't. Wreck-It Ralph was the closest thing we had, and it was awesome. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like we don't need like a real life Mario running around. That's
No.
creepy.
yeah, yeah, you don't. There's drawings on the internet of like real life looking Mario doing
Yeah.
all these like epic things, fighting a dragon looking Bowser, and it's like, that's just, it's cool, but it's not Mario.
It's not Mario.
Make
yeah.
it a CG. It should look very similar to the games that are out right now, because
Yeah, yeah, they look so good now.
Yeah.
You can, like the Wind Waker HD is a perfect example of like, if you ever wanted to make a cartoon, just make it look like that game.
yeah,
'Cause it would
which is
work.
Why Wind Waker? We're talking about this
Yeah,
now. It would be
yeah.
a perfect cartoon. It's already done for you.
Yeah,
And Mario would be the same way. Just make it look like Super Mario 3D World, or New Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 3D World was the one that I still can't get the titles right. That's the one that came out for the Wii U, right?
yeah. Super Mario 3D World.
That's the one with the
Yeah.
cats.
That's one with the cats.
Okay, make it
Which
look like that. Yeah.
is an awesome game. I finished that, by the way.
Oh,
But yeah, if you make it look like that, that would be cool. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's some ridiculous stuff in that
you
game.
can do so much. Like with the, you can make a movie and just it could be done right. I think.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have to be perfect. It's for kids. You don't have to worry about it being the super blockbuster, the Mario movie with the dude from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, Bob Hoskins.
Yes, thank you.
And John Leguizamo.
yeah.
Which is a weird choice, but
Yeah, you don't need something that's supposed to be this epic summer blockbuster with actors. You just
yeah, look what Pixar does. It's like,
Yeah.
here's our new movie, and they put ads out, and everyone on Earth goes to see them.
Yeah.
That's all they need to do. It's Nintendo. Be good for them to get in on this, especially the cartoon, to help get younger kids into Nintendo.
yes.
I don't think it's a guarantee they're always going to have that, because tablet and phone games and stuff seem to have grasped a lot of kids' attention.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a bad thing, which is why they're getting into it. But imagine if there was a cartoon. You
Yeah,
come home
that's
and
almost advertising.
yeah,
Type thing.
yeah. Hey, you know what? I would, if that's all it really was, as long as they can make it interesting. I mean, like, I found He-Man to be pretty fun. Masters of the Universe to be a fun show. It was to sell the toys.
It was to sell toys, yes.
Yeah,
But they did a good job with the cartoon.
yeah,
And it was worth watching, and I cared more about the cartoons than the toys.
yeah.
Like, which is strange.
It is
It was
strange.
not what they wanted, but that's
But
how it happened. 'cause
It
they were
worked.
They almost made the cartoons too good.
Yeah.
I bought the DVD like complete He-Man collections. Like I have them upstairs right now, and
I have the new one on
I have that one
DVD.
too.
That was a really
That
good
was a
show.
good one as well.
Yeah.
But I like the charm of the old one. And
No, I know.
And it's kind of like stock animation that they use in every single one.
Yeah.
But they're good cartoons, and I watch them, and I'll tend to go through like the whole all of them like maybe like once every 2 years because there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's like syndicated, so it was on every single day. You
Right.
know? I could see the Zelda thing just being like a Saturday morning thing, but like we were saying, it'd be if it was there to help drive sales of games because it makes kids aware. Hey,
Yeah.
I like this cartoon. There's a game about this. Mom, buy me a Nintendo Wii.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
I want a 3DS. I want to play this system.
Thing. Yeah.
And they could tack on little advertisements at the end, like, just don't forget the Wii U Zelda Wind Waker HT is available for the Wii U.
Right.
Have them just like sail like the boat by it and there's anything. I'm sure there's all sorts of legal red tape that will make this impossible, and which is unfortunate. But
You never know.
you never know what they could pull off, and who knows what the next president of the company would be willing to maybe stick his neck out a little bit for it.
Yeah.
We can hope.
I'm sure it'll be a different company than it's been.
Yeah.
So, hopefully in a good way.
Yes.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be cool. I'd like to see that.
I made a fantasy list of voice actors who I think would be the characters, and since I've made this list while playing through the game, I now read all like various characters' lines and hear these voices
In the voice
in
of
my
the
head,
people.
the voice of these people. Now the kids, I have no idea who to do for them.
I don't know a lot of child actors right now. Yeah.
You could probably find any kid to do like a lot of the voices.
So Haley Joel Osment brought back from the 90s.
Yeah. I mean, like women could do like kids really good, like adult,
Yeah.
and, like Sarah Silverman. Like if she wasn't like Wreck-It Ralph and did Vanellope and had that voice already down, I think she would have been a good Errol. But like what's her name, Nancy Cartwright from The Simpsons. She does Bart, she does Nelson, she does a lot of kids. So it's certainly possible just to get like a famous female voice actor to do them, but I don't know any really that for doing kids. But as for the adult actors, first of all, Grandma, I could see her being done by Betty White.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because most other people who I think would do a good voice actor for her are dead already. Like some of those ladies from like the movie Cocoon or something.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, but it's like, they're unfortunately not with us anymore. So
Right.
she's one of the few like older ladies that are still alive. Ganondorf. I think Terrence Stamp would be a good Ganondorf. He's better known as Zod from Superman 2.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, he's also Chancellor Valorum from the new Star Wars movies, but he had a commanding sounding voice.
Yeah.
And just instead of kneel before Zod, kneel before Ganon. I could just hear it in my head. Beetle. I think Adam Sandler would be a great Beetle.
Oh, you'd be perfect.
Yeah.
He would be, yeah.
Because even like when you play the game, you hear a beat, and you're like, oh, thank you. That's almost kind of Sandler. He has that, oh, happy doopy, that whole
Yeah,
Sandler
that would
thing.
be him.
He'd be a great voice, and he's done voice acting before with that Christmas
Oh, yeah.
one he did, so he's familiar with it. Valoo. For him, I got Alan Rickman, who's better known as Snape from the Harry Potter series. For me, I know him as the Sheriff of Nottingham from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I think he has I think he has kind of somewhat of a regal sounding voice, but still kind of the hint of menace to it.
Right.
Which is, since he's a dragon, I think those two things mix well. The Great Deku Tree. For him, I have John Goodman.
Oh, no, see, I would have had him as the King of Red Lions.
Yeah, once you mention him as because we talked about this over over our hangouts one time when you mentioned his voice, I'm like, oh yeah, he does. But like the Great Deku Tree kind of has that little more caricature, like that. Oafy is not a good word, but he has the big
Yeah.
chin, a rounded nose, and a more pleasant look to him. And John Goodman, I think has I don't know, maybe I just since I picture him from Monsters Incorporated and from the Roseanne show, that
Right.
he's a more of a happier sounding voice. But I guess I could see him as the King of Red Lions too.
He could do both.
He could do both.
How come you sound the same? We don't sound the same.
We're not. Makar, the little Korok. For him, it's tough. But I have Howie Mandel, who did the voice of Bobby from Bobby's World.
Yeah.
He's also on Deal or No Deal, but he used to do stand-up comedy and before he did Bobby's World, and he'd always do like these high-pitched voice characters in his comedy routine. Like Bobby, that Bobby's World, the cartoon, was based off of a stand-up comedy routine he did. So, but he's done other stuff with high-pitched voice, so Makar's kind of has like cooing type from what you get from out of the few sounds he makes. So I think Howie could do him pretty good. The Fishmen, who I would see as a main character in the cartoon series, since he's so frequent in the game that I would
Yeah.
make him, even if he was a narrator or some sort of advice or something, or some Deus Ex Machina type character, but I have him as Mark Hamill, because Mark Hamill
Mark
is
Hamill's
so
awesome.
good at what he does
Yeah.
that a character that would be such an important character and be in so many episodes, I'd want him to be played by somebody who knows what they're doing.
He is my favorite Joker of all time.
Yeah, he's great. Like yeah, he's an amazing Joker.
Yeah.
Like I'm almost to the point now where I think of him as the Joker. Like for me, since we grew up in like the 80s and 90s, it was a lot of Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Like for me, he was like the first real Joker I kind of knew. But now it's like, well, Mark Hamill, he's the Joker, and most people are probably gonna scream like Heath Ledger.
He
And
was awesome
yeah,
too.
he did the
but
character great, but I don't know. This Mark Hamill, he did a lot with.
Yeah.
He was able to make the Joker. He played the part perfectly. I know we're kind of deviating from the topic here, but considering it was an after-school children's cartoon, you can't make a character like super scary. So he was able to make it creepy enough inside the confines of, hey, this is still a kid's show. So he was able to make it goofy, but creepy, scary as he got up to that line, or that's as best he could do, and people love him as the Joker too.
Yeah.
It's like you're not unique to us, you know.
He only just retired from doing it because he played him in
the Arkham games, yeah. Which is great. I'm glad he did that because it just cements him as the Joker.
Did you play any of those?
I did not.
I played the parts of the first one. He sounds more evil. In that, like
probably because the reins are off. You know,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It wasn't like just like a 1-for-1. Like the I forget the guy's name. Kevin Conroy, I think, did Batman in the animated series. He also did in Arkham games, and he sounded pretty much the same. It was pretty close. I mean, with age they get a little deeper too.
Right.
But the Joker was like, it was different. It was he sounded like nasty.
I gotta play or at least watch some videos now because. Yeah, if they throw the shackles off and like go to town, this game's an M rating or something like that, you know.
Like you could tell it was him, but it was different.
I love that scene. Like I can't remember what talk show it was, but they were at Comic-Con. It might not even been a talk show, it just might have been some internet show, but they had Mark Hamill there and they asked him to do the Joker and he just did like a little bit of the laugh and the crowd behind him went berserk.
Nuts, really?
Yeah, just because he just started saying like, "Where's that Joker?" He did it there and the crowd was like, "Wow!" So people love him as the Joker and he does a great Joker, and I think he'd be a good Fishman.
Yeah.
Jaboon, the fish god. I have him as James Earl Jones.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The fish is kind of big, big and bassy. He's a whale, so I picture like a very resonating type voice, which James has. So I think he'd be very good as Jaboon.
They fit that show into CNN.
Yeah.
This is CNN. What?
Orca. Now I can't remember There's Orca and Sturgeon are the two old guys that teach Link. They're too smart. One teaches him how to use the sword. The other is just
Yeah.
kind of the brainiac. I can't remember which one's which. I think Orca is the sword fighter and Sturgeon is the smart guy. I have Orca as Gene Hackman, who is best known as Lex Luthor from the Superman's movies in the 80s.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a very good Orca. I could see him having that fatherly type, matter of fact and instructing type voice. I think he'd be good for that. And Sturgeon, I have John Lithgow, who's
that's a good choice.
best known as probably from Lord Farquaad from Shrek. He's also in Third Rock from the Sun and Harry and the Hendersons. He has a little more nasally voice, so I could see him have like that more intellect type style. They're like that dude has like that big brain head. He almost looks like Gray in a way. Linzo, the camera guy, Lance Henriksen.
Oh, wow.
I'm picturing someone with like a really gruff voice. Lance Henriksen, he's probably most famous for playing Bishop in the Aliens and Alien vs. Predator movies. Before that, he was, and after that, he was Frank Black from the Millennium TV series, which he did great
Millennium.
in that. Yeah, he did great in that. He was also in Scream 3 for a little bit too. He was a producer.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But he had that gravelly voice, that deep gravelly voice. I think he would do it well. Zunari. He is the shop owner that looks like an Eskimo.
Okay.
For him, I have Steve Buscemi. I just hear that voice when I see him. Because Zunari is an odd character. Like you're on this tropical island, and here's this guy wearing like an Eskimo coat.
Yeah.
And people are telling Link, like, aren't you going to be hot wearing that tunic? It looks really hot. And that guy's wearing a winter coat. Everybody else is wearing, like, bathing suits and sundresses.
Yeah.
Cyclos, the one god who is the one you have to shoot with an arrow to get the ability to control the cyclones. For him, I have Kevin Spacey. No particular reason. I like Kevin Spacey as an actor.
Yeah, he's good.
Cyclos, he does a little. He does kind of. The only really voice you get from him is like a laugh. I don't know, but Kevin Spacey, I think, could pull it off. And I like Kevin Spacey. I think he's a great actor. His brother Zephos, the one who teaches you how to control the winds. For him, I have Malcolm McDowell,
Oh.
who's in Clockwork Orange and the remake of Halloween. Kind of has, again, another elderly teaching stern type voice.
He's popped up in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's also in Star Trek. Was that him in Star Trek Generations? Can't remember.
Maybe.
Might have been him. And then Tot. And this is just pure cameo. Like, he's that guy that teaches you how to change time. He's up there dancing at the top of the Windfall Island,
Okay.
wearing the white suit. John Travolta, because he looks like the guy from
Nice.
Saturday Night Fever, that white leisure suit there. In addition to all those characters, if they even made an appearance in there, I could also see there being, like, you can't have Ganon getting defeated in every single episode like Shredder did. You'll need, like, some other bad people, or at least his minions. So I could see, we talked about this, having, like, a Moblin and a Bokoblin team being his two bumbling henchmen, so you have like a big stupid Moblin and more like sarcastic bokoblin, but they're always screwing up the
Yeah.
plans and everything like that. They could be somewhat the comic relief, kind of like Bebop and Rocksteady from
Right.
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or how Beastman and Trapjaw were in the old He-Man cartoons. I could also see him having two other, I guess, lead, like not just henchmen, but like lead henchmen. Like I could see him having like a mighty Dark Nut as his general that could carry out some of his commands. That way, again, you're not having Ganon getting, if you have self-contained episodes, you're not having Ganon getting defeated all the time. You could have one of his generals getting defeated who's doing all the bad stuff. And I also see there being a chief Wizrobe, which I
Yeah.
think would be neat. Like who would be his, like Ganon's like advisor or coffer or something like that, because the Wizrobes in Wind Waker are kind of weird looking with those big toucan faces and their
Yeah.
robes. So I could see like a really kind of hunched over, really sinister type one, voiced by Michael Wincott, who better known as, or was known as, not known, but played Guy of Gisborne in Robin Hood Prince
Oh,
of Thieves,
yeah,
and
I know who
Top
you mean.
Dollar in The Crow.
Yeah.
So that kind of deep, gravelly voice. And I can also see like the Wizrobe being like, I said it's kind of sinister, and probably like the Mighty Dark Knight character would just be like a strong, no nonsense, just crush everything. But the Wizrobe character would be like destroy everything, but destroy it as evilly as you can. Like not the most efficient way, whatever's going to cause like the most pain and suffering, or as close as you can to it in a kid's cartoon.
Well, yeah.
So those would be two other villain characters that could be defeated, so Ganon's not getting his butt kicked every single time like Skeletor always would
Yeah.
all the time, and Hordak did when in the She-Ra cartoons. But yeah, and then I don't know who you would get to voice, like Link, Tetra, Arrow, Medley, Prince Kamali. Those characters would all be there at some point. But that would be my my dream list of characters. And like I said, once as I play through the games, now I hear
You hear those voices?
those voices,
Yeah.
yeah, for those characters. And that's all I got.
Pretty cool. Well, now I
Yeah.
hope they make this. So.
Yeah, please,
Yeah.
please make this cartoon. I really want to watch it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wouldn't care if it followed the game verbatim that I've already played and I know how it's going to end. I just want to see it.
Yeah. That would be,
I want to see
that'd
it
be
happen.
fun. Maybe someday. Like I said, well, they're loosening up on the film industry anyway, so maybe they will.
Here's hoping.
Here's hoping. Well, I think that's gonna do it for our supersized episode.
Yeah,
I think we packed a lot in. I don't know how long we've been going, but
we're a few minutes away from 2 hours.
oh well,
so,
actually, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
We fit a lot in, so well, hopefully, I'm not going to confirm, but hopefully we'll have more frequent episodes coming soon.
Yes, hopefully our next one won't be like, well, fall's over.
Yeah, yeah. How was your Christmas? Yeah,
Happy New Year, everybody.
right. Yeah, but yeah, we'll be back soon. We have some ideas coming up. I won't spoil them,
Yeah.
but I think a cool idea for the next episode. We got some scheduling to figure out, but
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next episode.
Yeah.
If we do what we're going to do.
yeah, it'll be neat. It'll be neat. So stay tuned. We will be back. If you're interested in sending us any comments, our email address is nintendokidshow@gmail.com. Yes.
That is it. That's
Yeah.
correct.
And
And I'm promising, Christian pointed this out to me, I'm going to decrease the size of these audio files.
oh, right.
This is how out of it, like, I don't have an unlimited data plan on my phone or anything like that, so I usually don't listen to too much on my phone. Like, I don't listen to Pandora or any sort of streaming audio. I barely watch YouTube. I'll do all my stuff from like my computer. So here's me being like, everybody else just watches from the computer, not thinking that people might stream this audio.
Yeah.
So I'm doing like, I need to get the best sound quality I could get, that's on MP3. So I'm having like these 320 like kilobits per second, and these files are like 400 megabytes, and I'm like crushing like people's like data plans. So there might be some slight quality degradation in the audio. not gonna be that noticeable, I don't think, but the sound file should be significantly smaller, so it won't need such a big footprint on your data plan. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, that'll be coming too. So, yeah, I guess that'll do it for this episode of Nintendo Kids. So, thanks for listening, and hope we'll have you listen to us again soon. And we'll see you around the Miiverse.
Right on. Happy gaming. Bye.
Ready.